The word magic means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It can be exciting, mysterious, helpful, and even evil. But the word itself is neither good nor bad, it merely describes a host of different practices and beliefs that elicit these emotional reactions. It really comes down to what you think magic is. Now, the term blood magic conjures negative imagery for most people, and that is understandable considering blood itself is a word that we associate with things such as war, death, and physical injury. Blood magic in turn is then also confused with human sacrifice and blood sacrifice, but that isn't necessarily what it always refers to. The entire notion of sacrificing humans and animals on altars with pentagrams and all that demonic stuff doesn't entirely represent the way it's practiced today. In its simplest terms, blood magic or blood sorcery simply involves a drop or two of blood during a spell or a ritual, and it's usually the blood of the individual performing that spell or ritual, so nobody else is actually harmed in the process. Many forms of magic involve a tool or an object that harnesses or amplifies that type of magic, and in this case, that object is blood. With a lot of magical spells and rituals, you are essentially asking for something, which is why it's so common to give something in return. This can be voluntary, and other times it may not be. I'm sure we've all seen a movie or a TV show where someone performs an act or a spell, and they either end up fainting or with some kind of nosebleed. They get what they want in terms of that spell or action, but something is taken in return, be it blood which can be interpreted as life or something else entirely different. Hence the very common idea that magic has a cost, or all magic comes with a price. Now, in terms of what one is able to do with blood magic, it doesn't seem like there are many limitations, which in itself could be another reason why it has such a bad reputation. It may not be inherently bad, but one can still use it to do terrible things. It comes down to the moral compass of those using blood magic. The blood is merely a conduit. What you choose to do with it is entirely up to you. Now, with this whole series exploring magic, once we've gone over the overall premise, we then look at how it appears in works of fiction. So to begin, we can take a look at Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire, depending on which you prefer. In the work of George R.R. Martin, blood sorcery is considered the most powerful form of magic, but it's also a dark art forbidden to many. In Season 1, when Drogo lay there dying, Daenerys summons Mirri Mazda, a blood mage from the land of Lazarene. She eventually tells Daenerys that she can save Drogo, but she'll need to take a life in exchange, which happens to be his horse. We then later learn that Mirri Mazda had no intention in using her powers to save Drogo. She instead wanted revenge for what happened to her people, and for this she is burnt alive. In Season 3, when Stannis Baratheon learns that Gendry is the bastard son of Robert Baratheon, they use leeches to collect his blood, believing that it can be used in powerful rituals, which it later is. Later on in the first episode of Season 5, we have a flashback to young Cersei Lannister, visiting a witch named Maggie and asking for her future to be read. Cersei then cuts her thumb in order to draw some blood, and in quite a weird scene, the witch then proceeds to suck on Cersei's thumb. But she does tell Cersei that she will become a queen and have 3 children who will all die before her, and eventually she will be replaced by a younger, more beautiful queen. There are several characters in Martin's work that use blood magic, and what they use it for varies, but for the most part he is consistent with the idea that blood magic comes with a cost, often needing a sacrifice in exchange for a great amount of power. We also see blood magic in the TV show Lost Girl, which if I'm being completely honest is terrible, but there is a character called Trick who is described as a blood sage. Anything Trick writes in his own blood then comes true, but there is always some kind of catch or consequence. He only really uses this power to try and maintain peace, and as a last resort. As you may expect, the way blood magic appears in fiction is different to how it's seen by those who practice it today, and I think the reasons for that are quite obvious in terms of authors wanting it to appear more dark and taboo in order to excite and interest readers. But let me know what you think about blood magic in the comments below. You can also throw in any blood mages or books that you feel deserve a mention. If you have enjoyed this video, then please consider leaving a thumbs up, as it really does help me and the channel. As always, I've been your host, Mythology and Fiction Explained.